smell like ginger.
It's because I am ginger.
That's better than garlic like last time.
Yeah, I know.
That was bad.
Yeah. We'll be doing that again.
So, no, you see, Dan always has to do this. This is where...
It's like she's risen to the levels of Dr. Hillary.
Oh, yeah.
She's now known as
like
Dr. Sarah.
Dr. Sarah, yes. You can see I've chopped the raspberries into like quarters.
Oh, the strawberries done.
That always makes me laugh when you see doctor and then someone's first name, because we just don't do that here. Oh, do you know? There's got to be an easier way. That's not right either. Right. I'm not going to be floppy. That's the consistency that it is. So I'm going to get whipping.
I'll show you how, and then...
It's turned right. I'm unplugging it.
Do you think perhaps this was rigged by Kay?
I kind of... No, I didn't know. I did not know that... Right, I was thinking that...
So now we'll make it look like you did it perfectly. Welcome, everybody, to episode 149. My goodness.
Nearly at 150.
Yes. Oh, yes. That's way past lunchtime.
150?
Yes. Anybody who eats their lunch at 1:50 deserves to get indigestion.
That's very late, isn't it, for lunch? 10 to 2.
But it's amazing, isn't it? I mean, we're creatures of habit, as I think you're probably aware now. And I just couldn't do that. I just could not do that.
I'd be so starving. But I suppose, you see, it all depends on how you run your day, doesn't it? You know,
if you get up late.
Yeah, we get up early. So, you know, I've had breakfast by 8 o'clock, really, at the latest.
Yeah.
So if I wasn't then to eat till almost 2 o'clock, that's 6 hours. I'd be absolutely starved.
Absolutely.
But then you see it has a knock on. And then what time do you have your tea?
I know.
If you'd eaten at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, you're not going to want to eat tea at 5, are you?
No, more like 10.
That means you might not want to eat tea until 7 or 8 o'clock at night, and that's really bad for you eating that late.
I'm coming out in a hot sweat just thinking about it.
Everybody's different, aren't they?
Yes.
But we tend to... I mean, we're a bit like Downton, aren't we? Because they have luncheon at 12.
Yes, and I dress for dinner.
And then they always had tea, didn't they, around 5? And then, of course, they had dinner later on, didn't they? But we just don't do that.
But I only wear a dinner jacket at dinner time.
That'd be weird,
A
wouldn't
monkey
it?
suit.
I think I said
Is that
to
what she
you-
calls it?
A monkey suit?
What does she call it? Pyjamas?
No.
What does she call it?
Yeah.
It's really funny.
Yeah,
I mean, it's so
yeah.
funny because if you think about it, now when we go for a posh dinner somewhere, we wear a dinner jacket and a bow tie.
Yeah.
In other parts of the world, it's called a tuxedo, which I just don't understand because, ladies and gentlemen, I shall tell you now, a tuxedo is white.
It is white, yeah.
So do not call a black jacket with a wing-collared shirt and a black bow tie a tuxedo, because it isn't.
It's a dinner jacket, isn't
Yes.
it?
Yeah,
It's
I mean, it
quite
doesn't...
cool,
right.
though, a white tuxedo, isn't
Absolutely is. So don't ruin the coolness of being able to say, I've got on a tuxedo.
Yeah. But they wore tails, didn't they, in Downton Abbey to dinner?
Yeah.
And when, you know... The
Romper suit.
Was it his romper suit?
Yes.
Yeah, the Dowager Countess, when Lord Grantham had just a dinner jacket on one night, she said, "Oh, why is he wearing his romper suit?"
That's
Because
just
she
hilarious.
considered it so ridiculously casual
Yes.
to wear a dinner jacket, you know.
Speaking of clothing, I'm feeling quite sort of Don Johnson, Miami Vice-esque today.
Are you? Yeah, you need a sort of pale blue jacket
With the sleeves rolled up.
up.
Yeah, and a speedboat going really fast. What a show we have in store for you because, oh yes, we have the most... Do you know what? When you want to talk about refined cakes, when you want to talk about feeling like a French pastry chef... Oh no, they wouldn't call him a pastry chef, would they? They'd call him something else. I forget what they call them. The ones who make the sweets and stuff.
It's a patisserie where you buy them, isn't it?
Yeah.
So
if you want to feel like someone in Paris making the most amazing cakes, this is the cake for you. Do you know what? It's the most... Like, I've just gone to Betty's and said, yes, I'll have a slice of that, please, off the trolley, than any cake you've ever made. And the other amazing thing...
It's quite posh, but really easy.
The other amazing thing about this cake is, as far as we can see, yes, finally, the gluten-free cake has arrived. We'd intended to do this last episode, but unfortunately, I failed miserably in my mission to obtain hazelnuts.
Well, yeah, blanched hazelnuts.
But
That
this
was the thing.
time I succeeded in my mission.
Yeah.
And so it's here. Oh yes, hazelnut meringue cake is coming later on in the show. But what I love about today's show is not only do we have hazelnut meringue cake, you have a pair of socks which sort of is like the cake, because what's on top of the cake?
Strawberries.
And what do you have?
I do. I'm working on a sock that looks like a strawberry.
Yes.
That's very true.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
It's the most strawberry-looking sock I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Because of the
it's lovely.
pips.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's lovely. It's working out really lovely. I can't wait to show you. It's my short and sweet socks, which are currently running for the Bakery Bears Knitting University. That's ongoing right now.
Part 3 came out on Tuesday.
Yeah,
Part
lots
4
of-
comes out next Tuesday, I think.
Lots of our lovely patrons are knitting up those socks, and I think I said it on here that wouldn't it be fun if someone knit up a pair to look like a strawberry, and that just put that thought in my head, so I had to solve that issue that was going on in my head.
So you're going to see the most amazing pair of strawberry socks.
Yeah.
We've got just the best pudding club. It's gorgeous. But someone has been keeping a secret.
I have.
And it's not on. And I think it's time they came clean.
I've got a new design, and it's coming out. It's come out today, the 1st of May.
But there's something special about this design.
Something very special about this design. I'll be showing you the design in what's off my needles, but I was very kindly asked by lovely Sarah, Dr. Sarah. I think we all know Sarah Holmes, don't we?
It's like she's risen to the levels of
I
Dr.
know.
Hillary.
Oh, yeah.
She's now
She's
known as
like
Dr.
that.
Sarah.
Dr. Sarah, yes. That always makes me laugh when you see doctor and then someone's first name, because we just don't do that here. It makes me giggle to see that. But yeah, I sort of jokingly call her Dr. Sarah. She's Sherlock_knits on Instagram, and she asked me, back end of last year, if I would like to design a pattern as part of the Flower Power Fund for this year. And of course I said yes, I would love to do that. And I asked if I could have May, quite selfishly, just because I really love May and it's just my favourite month of the year. So she said, yeah, no problem. So that pattern has come out today, and I'll be donating £2.50 from each of the pattern sales to Marie Curie. And Marie Curie, if you don't know, it's a charity-based organisation here in the UK, and they run a whole plethora of hospices all around the country who care for the terminally ill.
They do more than that, though. Because
they do a lot more than that.
When I was having chemotherapy, when I was going in and out of hospital, there was a Marie Curie ward.
Yeah.
There was also Marie Curie people all over the place, doing teas and coffees and coming and talking to you.
But they're really to support the families. And
I remember once going in, and I mean, I said no. I mean, it was great that people were doing this, but there was something different all the time. But there was a lady giving head massages to people who'd come in to have their chemo topped up, and she asked me, and I just wasn't in the mood because you're just in a funny place. She asked me right now, I'd probably say yes.
But yeah, they basically care for the terminally ill in all aspects, really, of that kind of process. And it is a charity-based organisation. They're not funded by the NHS. And obviously at the moment, all of their charity fundraising activities just can't take place. So it's just even more important, I think, that we just do everything we can for these people that are doing what they're doing, like Dr. Sarah. I'm going to say that all the time now.
The thing I love the most about these socks is the name and everything about them.
Yes, it's a pair of socks. I don't know if I said that. I don't know if I did. But it's a pair of socks. And shall I say now what they're called?
Yes, because then you show them later.
They're called the Village Fete socks. And my inspiration for the socks was, because lots of village fetes go on in May, particularly in this country, and they have maypoles and maypole dancers around, because it's May, May Day. It traditionally happens on May Day, which usually is the 1st of May. I think 1st of May is May Day, but our bank holiday this year is on the 8th of May. I think it was to coincide with VE Day, I think.
Yeah.
And as well as that, I actually used the yarn from the dyer for May for the Flower Power Fund as well. I did a little secret collaboration with that particular dyer, and I've used the yarn that is also going to be for sale this month.
Can you guess who the dyer might be?
Can you guess who it might be?
Do you think perhaps this was rigged by Kay?
No, I didn't know. I did not know that she was dying.
That's lies.
I didn't. Sarah, tell everyone I didn't. Sarah told me.
Go back and watch Kay's top 5 yarns of last year, and then when you find out who the dyer is for this, you might just realise.
It's not true. Sarah actually told me, she texted me and she said,
Thanks.
She said, you might want to get in touch with this person because I know you really love her yarn, and it's Sherry Iris.
Yes. Yes, I can. It's Sherry Iris.
It's Sherry.
Woohoo!
So Sherry's dyed the yarn up for May. So I will show you that design in what's off my needles, and if you if you feel inclined, then it would be lovely if you would like to go along and purchase that pattern.
And support a wonderful cause.
Yes, because like I said, I'll be donating £2.50 from each pattern sale to Marie Curie.
Of course,
for the whole month of May. I didn't say that. It's for the whole month of May.
And the Flower Power, it has a new pattern out every month, doesn't it?
No, it's a new yarn every month, and then there's kind of a sprinkling of patterns through the year. That's something new that I think Sarah added this year.
New yarn every month and a sprinkling of patterns all year.
Yes, yeah, that's right.
Somebody's had an accident.
It's not me.
Now, I don't mean to tread old ground, because again, I didn't mention this in the live show on Sunday, but I just wanted to say, because I didn't want any of you to worry when you saw
what this was.
My arm.
It actually looks a lot better. It's all dried up now.
Thank goodness.
How lovely. Yeah, but it's quite deep here. You landed on your elbow, didn't you?
Yeah.
It's really quite unpleasant. It might scar that, actually. Sorry.
It's okay.
I'm touching it.
I had a tricky fall in the woods. I was in the wrong shoes, and I was being a good boy in social distancing, and I just went down quite firmly.
But then what did you do in the shower that same night?
I speared myself on we've got this pointy thing that sticks out of the hot water.
Yeah, to turn it hot and cold.
So it's really pointy and really quite sharp.
It's not pointy, it's flat on the end. I don't know how you managed to do it, because it's round with a flat end.
Well, I just came up on it.
I think, you just came up like that, and because you said to Bryony last night, is there something on my back?
Yeah.
And Bryony went, oh, what's that? I said, oh, what's he done now?
It's a small hole.
And it's like a bit, quite a... And again, sort of a gash, and it's all red around it. I'm like, oh my goodness.
All in the same day. And now Kay's punched the table.
I did a bit, yeah, I'm okay.
Now look, we all need something to look forward to at the moment, don't we?
We do.
We do. I can tell you that. Now, sadly, I can't tell you too much.
Oh.
Because I don't want to give anything away. But look, in the history of the Bakery Bears, we have constantly, every year, tried to bring you something new.
Mm.
Last year, it was the radio show.
Yeah.
The year before, it was the Pudding Club.
Yeah.
The year before that, it was the New Adventures. And the year before that, it was Knitability, the magazine.
Yeah.
And we've developed a whole new programme in the same vein as Pudding Club and New Adventures.
Yeah.
Coming as soon as we can bring it to you.
As soon as we can. Yeah.
This has been the most pre-production we've ever done on any programme. We've learnt so much over the years of producing New Adventures and Pudding Club, and we've sort of put all of that knowledge into prepping for this new show. But you should also know, and you can hear the music for the show in the background.
Oh, it's beautiful.
By my amazing brother.
Isn't it gorgeous?
And you should also know us by now to know that when we bring you something new, it's not necessarily as obvious as what it says on the tin. There's normally something extra.
Yes.
And this is the bit that we can't tell you about. No. All we'll say to you is, it's called Walking the Dales. And look, here is, take a look at this. This sort of happened by chance. The logo and the that'll happen before,
I love it.
Yes, I know. Yeah. It's the first time we've ever done anything quite like that. It's sort of like a proper TV show.
Like proper telly.
I know. But all we can say, because we really don't want to give away the surprise, is get ready for a whole new perspective on the Yorkshire Dales.
Yeah.
And we shall say nothing more. Now, those of you waiting for New Adventures, don't panic. That's still coming later on this year.
Yeah.
Don't worry about that. But we thought you would like to have something brand new to look forward to. And trust me when I tell you, you're going to love this.
You will love it.
Oh, yes. Pudding Club is very much Kay's show. And New Adventures became very much my show. And we wanted this to be our show. So, really, for the first time ever, since we've started really going for it with our productions, this is something which is ours. So get ready for that. Coming literally as soon as we can make it happen.
As soon as we are
But obviously,
able.
we can't tell you when.
As soon as, you know, the government says, yes, off you go, people, back into the world.
Stay safe. Oh, yes. Thank you all so much for the lovely umbrella socks support and excitement.
Yes, thank you all so much. It's been fantastic. And so many of you are knitting them up. You know, I did put a hashtag, I think. I did on the Knitalong information on Ravelry. There is a hashtag for Instagram for the actual Knitalong, which is Umbrella Socks KAL. But I know a lot of people are just hashtagging umbrella socks, which is brilliant. Absolutely fine. You know, I don't mind how you want to do that. So I've been, you know, following that hashtag, and there's just loads of people that are knitting up umbrella socks. And I've had lots of messages from people saying how fantastic the heel is and the fit's great, and people have never been able to find a heel previously, an afterthought heel that fit them well, and this one does. And just, it's all been just fantastic. So thank you all so much for your, you know, your excitement and your positivity. It's been great. What
was so interesting about this is every issue of Knitability, a new one just came out last week, our magazine. Kay writes an article, and normally she can reel off 600 to 800 words, no problem. Well, she wrote an article all about the umbrella socks, and she's like, it's like War and Peace. She's like going for it.
I know.
It was amazing.
It's really cool. I did over 1,000 words.
I know. Record.
I know. It won't happen again. Don't get excited.
No. I think
it won't happen again.
Find the right subject.
Yeah, I do kind of struggle with writing a little bit, don't I? But this one I didn't at all. It just
because you found the right subject.
Yeah, very flowy.
Folks, yes, it's time finally for us to find out. Kate Jones, what's on your needles?
Well, the first thing I'm working on is in a Christmas bag.
Wow.
That's a bit weird, isn't it?
Well, it is, but it would be weird if that was like bright green and there was like red on it. And
yeah, this is one of my favourite Christmas bags. I made this one.
That's a clever Christmas bag.
I love it.
Because you could carry that around all year and no one would go, that's weird, it's got a Christmas bag.
Lovely colours, aren't they? And it's got snowmen inside, pink of course.
Subtle Christmas is what you want.
And I've had this on the go since December. And I kind of put it down, you know, I knit on it through December and then just put it down. I thought, I'll pick it back up again, you know, later on in the year or whatever, and finish them off then. However, I had an idea for something, and it meant basically knitting a sock. And it was top down, and then I remembered that this sock was actually at the point of putting in the heel, so I thought, this is perfect, I'm going to use this one because it's half knit already, and it saved me having to knit another half a sock just to try out this idea I had. So the sock that's in here is a Christmas sock, and the yarn is from London House Yarns. You might remember me starting this back in December, and it's a self-striping, and it's got a mini with it as well, and it was called Merry Christmas Harry, and it's London House Yarns. And this yarn it's the 80/20. It's do you know the base that's like a 2-ply, quite a high twist? That's the base for this one. It's lovely, and you get a self-striping 100 gram in all these lovely colours, and it's based on the scene in Philosopher's Stone. Do you know where it's Christmas morning and Ron says, "Oh, Merry Christmas, Harry," and he's like, "I've got presents," and he's like, "Yeah, of course you have." It's that scene. So it's these lovely colours, and the mini I got was the cream that coordinates with it. It is in the skein as well. And I'd got half a sock knit, and I'm doing my Rhapsody pattern for this. But the idea that I had, the thought I had, whoops, that's backwards. It just followed on from the umbrella sock, really, and I just thought, do you know what? Why couldn't you put in the umbrella heel, in a top-down sock? I just feel like this sort of gives it more of a complete feel. having a toe-up version and a top-down version, a cuff-down version. So I thought, right, I'm going to try it on this sock, and this will give me the opportunity just to work out all the measurements and everything like that, and just see how it works out. And it worked out brilliantly.
Why do people knit toe-up socks again?
Because, well, I don't really know. There's various reasons.
You know when you can, because you've just done it cuff down.
This one's cuffed down, yeah. I mean,
so is this basically exactly the same?
No, because the toe is different work toe up.
Of course.
It's not the same.
But it's still just a tube that you then cut and stick in the heel.
Yes. But some people just prefer knitting cuff down, some prefer knitting toe up. And sometimes people prefer knitting toe up because they don't like Kitchener stitch.
Okay.
But with my umbrella heel, there is a little bit of Kitchener stitch at the end of it. It's just, I don't have an issue with Kitchener. I think it's a technique that's really incredibly useful, and it isn't difficult, and it was necessary, to have that technique in this particular heel. But that's one of the reasons people tend to knit toe up. I think, a lot of people just prefer going toe up. And, because you can do a heel flap and gusset toe up.
Wow.
I've seen lots of people do that.
Backwards.
So it's just another option, isn't it, for us? And it's great to have lots of options. And it varies your knitting, doesn't it? It gives something, a bit of freshness. You might want to knit a pair of socks, but you're like, oh, I've just done 10 pairs of toe-up socks. Maybe I'll try something different. So it's just, it's just options. So I finished the sock, and I think it looks great. So here it is.
I don't know why I'd always just assumed that heels like this just went in toe up.
Well, no, I mean you can put it in a top down. So, and it worked absolutely perfectly. I had to work out things like foot length, because obviously it's different, because you've got to subtract the toe and subtract the heel measurement, and then make sure that you knit the foot the right length. But that was fine. I worked that out, and that was fine. And just popped in the heel. And this one was different because it's got patterning on the leg. Quite often when you knit toe up, I think people like to put a bit of patterning on the front.
Yeah.
But then the back of the leg will just be plain. But this one has got patterning, all the way around. And I do prefer that, actually. I do prefer a sock that is fully patterned around the leg rather than it just being plain on the back.
I was just thinking how nice that would look like on a sweater's arms.
Yeah. This is my Rhapsody pattern. It's really lovely, and it's based on a 4x4 rib, and it's just so pleasant to knit. It goes really quick, it's lovely and squishy, it's got a good amount of stretch. I deliberately placed the heel with this one in the middle of this grey stripe here, which I think looks really neat. And then it's just got my normal umbrella toe. Look at that bit of grey on the end. How annoying is that? Bryony liked it. She said, oh, that's cute, that little bit of grey on the end. I said, oh, that annoyed me. It was literally like the last 2 rounds or something. So it worked. And isn't this sock fantastic? The colours, I mean.
Yeah.
I absolutely love it. And what I like about
How
this
long did
yarn,
you have that before you knit it?
I think I bought it the year before.
Right.
What I like about this self-striping is the stripes are a little bit thicker than normal. You get between 7 and 8 rounds for each stripe, and usually I seem to think it's more like 6 maybe rounds. But I just really liked how these were slightly more chunky stripes, and I think it looks fantastic. The colours are so vibrant, aren't they?
I like the greens.
Yeah, it's just really lovely colours. So I haven't started the second one yet because it's a Christmas yarn, and I just thought, maybe I'll just leave that. And then I tend to get Christmassy around September, so I'll probably knit the second one around then. Now I know this works. The reason I wanted to try it was that I've got a design planned to use this heel in a top-down sock, and I don't really need, at the moment, I don't need to finish this second one. It's not essential. It's a Christmas sock, and it is, although, yes, it's a Christmas sock, but you could wear this any time of year. But I kind of do want to keep it as a gift for Christmas, so I thought, well, maybe I'll knit the second one in September or October. But what I can do now is I can start the design I've got in mind. So the design will be a top down, sort of cuff down with a true afterthought heel with the umbrella heel and then my normal umbrella toe. So that's in the works. I've got everything ready to start it. I know exactly what I'm going to do, but I've just got a couple of other designs I need to finish off before I start that. But I just think it's lovely, and I know a few people had asked me about a cuff down version with this heel, so I'm hoping this is something that people will be interested in.
Cool.
So Dan Jones,
yes,
what's on your needles?
First of all, what's off my needles?
Oh,
of course, I'm showing it now. I'm not trying to sneak it into what's off my needles, because it's not a complete project. Oh no, 'tis one sleeve.
A sleeve.
And I was panicking actually. I'm like knitting away and I've covered, at length now. I've spoken a few times about sleeves, haven't I? After the minor disaster that was the sleeves on the Soldier, which of course I knit last year, ending up way too long for Kay.
Could do.
I got to the end of the sleeve and I just thought, this is too long. But it's not a disaster, is it? Because you can rip it back a bit and you can fix it. So it was fine. Better to know, isn't it? Better to know and deal with it there and then than to just plough on. And that's the other thing that I think it's easy to slip into. You look at a pattern, you follow the pattern exactly, and you think, oh, it's just going to fit. Well, of course, it's not always, because everybody's slightly different, especially when you're knitting a garment. And actually,
but this is. It is going to my underarm if I look, and I don't like super long arms at all. I would rather have it sort of bracelet length, I think it's called, isn't it?
See, the interesting thing is, I think,
and it will stretch a bit when it's blocked. I
think if we hadn't sort of done the things we'd done and understood the way you like things to fit, you'd look at that and you'd think, I need to knit it further.
Yeah, you would.
And well, I'm glad I stopped when I did.
Yeah, because because we have had that issue where a sleeve came out like this.
Yeah, I mean, I just followed the pattern exactly.
It is wearable, but even if this came out here, I would wear it. It's still wearable when it's a little bit shorter. Whereas for me, if it's really long, it's not really wearable.
No.
I can't stand stuff around.
Weight.
Yeah, because I'm always doing something. I'm always knitting. I'm always
I don't like weight around my wrists.
I'm on the computer. I'm doing the dishes. I don't like having all of that stuff around my wrists.
No, it's annoying.
So this will be perfect. It's quite a fitted sleeve. I mean, there is some room here. There's quite a lot of room here.
That is your gear.
That is my gear. What
your
does that
stuff
mean?
is fitted. Your stuff like this.
I don't really like fitted stuff.
But go and look at all your, sweater dresses and.
Sweater dresses.
You do. You wear lots of things like that. They're all fitted. None of them are baggy.
No, but that's more fitted through the body.
And the arms.
All right. Well, I don't think. Well, okay. But I think it's fine. I don't think it's too tight. Is what I'm trying to say. And this is obviously unblocked. So.
Well, yeah, you could pin it hard, couldn't you? And.
Well, I don't block things hard. I don't think it's good for anything to do that. But there's one sleeve all done.
I've made some mistakes.
It's on this side, isn't it? There's a few little glitches, but it's fine. It's on the inside of the arm, isn't it?
But it'll be like that.
Who's going to see it?
The only people who see it are people stood to the side of Kay when she walks like this. So they'll just see.
You wouldn't even see it then. It's on the underarm, isn't it? I mean, who's going to see it? It's fine.
I'm just not sure how these mistakes have happened, because I always try and analyse.
I don't even know what is this you're doing. Is it left and right twists?
Yeah. Well, what's happening?
We've done the wrong twist.
Okay.
Look.
Okay. Both sides.
No, this one presumably.
Well, hold it up so people can see.
Can you see here, for example? I think one side should be a left twist and one should be a right twist.
And what are they?
They're both left twists.
Right.
Here. Can you see just here? So I think what you've done is got confused and...
Yeah, misread them.
Yeah, it should be a left twist here and a right twist here.
Yeah.
And sometimes you've done the wrong twist.
I think what that tells me is... I need, because now, just talking out that makes total sense now. And when I knit something, I tend to look at the pattern and do what the pattern tells me.
You've just missed it completely, look.
Yeah, I know.
We've got 2 knit rounds.
I know.
So I think it's a combination of you missing doing the twist and then doing the wrong twist on the wrong side.
If I understood, well, it's going to the right.
It's both sides, because look, we've got a right one there on the left side. So we've got 2 rights there, look.
It's just totally misreading. I'm looking down at the pattern and I'm not understanding what I should be doing where.
These are all to the left, aren't they? Because it's on the left side of your work.
So that makes total sense.
These ones are on the right.
So
you should be able to just look at your row below and you'll be able to see whether it's a left or a right. Looking at the pattern each time, you might just be misreading the pattern. If it was me, I would just be reading my knitting because...
Yeah.
Well,
I'm definitely misreading the pattern.
Right.
Because I tend to, when I knit, read the pattern and that is gospel. Whereas actually what you should be doing is using the pattern as a guide, and your knitting should be gospel, shouldn't it?
Yeah, as long as you get it established correctly in the first place.
Yes.
But I also think you're kind of splitting stitches as well. So maybe it's just practice on that left and right twist, although you've had a lot of practice looking at all those.
Yeah, well...
Because when you lay it flat like that, you can see where you've done mistakes, because there's like little mountains.
So the splitting, does that look like it's all the way up, or does it look like it's mainly...
No, it's not. It's not all the way up.
So where is it?
It's random. It's random.
Right, okay,
there isn't... Can you see there? Look.
It's what I try and do is analyse where these things happen, so I can then try and identify what went wrong and make sure it doesn't happen again.
If I hold that up, can you see that sort of random thread there? No, I don't know if you can see it. It looks to me like it's been split.
You'll be right, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And
you've got the second one.
The next
Yay!
one, and it doesn't bother me at all. Second sleeve.
Yeah, I said it because you cast it on literally straight away. You finished that one and cast that one on. I was like, gosh, that's really good you're doing that.
That's wrong. It's not second sleeve syndrome, it's second sock syndrome.
Yeah, but people are the same with sleeve. They call it Sleeve Island, don't they?
Yes, I did an episode of Journey to the Centre of the Yoke called Sleeve Island.
Right.
Where I was establishing that I'd never been.
On sleeve. Yeah, because you don't really get a second sock syndrome, and it's the same kind of thing, isn't it?
Yeah. So... that seems to have happened quite quickly because I only just cast it on.
Very quick, yeah.
Yesterday, maybe it's the day before yesterday.
And they're 4 millimetre needles, aren't they, those we established?
Yes. I didn't have 2 sets. Otherwise, I would have left that on the needles and just got going with this. But Kay very kindly put it onto waste yarn for me.
It says in the pattern to put it on waste yarn, but we just thought if you've got 2 sets of needles, we'll just leave it on the needles, but we didn't, so...
So, I'm off. And I'll guarantee you that I will learn a lot from that. And this
one will be like perfect.
Will be better. Kate Jones, yes. What's on your hook?
Well, what's on my hook in my lovely bag? Look at my lovely bear bag. Aren't they just the cutest bears? Sasha made this bag and she made some extras and we used them for prizes. So that was lovely. I love this bag. And the colour, because it's on a peachy sort of background, it matches what's inside. Now this is my granny stripe blanket that I've been working on every night. It's been my kind of bedtime project, and it's the absolute perfect bedtime project in my opinion. Because it's really simple, you don't have to think too much, you can stop at any point, you're not like working around where you don't want to stop in the middle, anything like that. It's not got long rows like a shawl, for example. It's just perfect, and you just get to play with lots of pretty colours. So my theme for this particular blanket was this one's for me, which is a rare thing actually. I normally give everything away, but I wanted pinks and peaches and kind of creamy neutrals, that sort of palette, and it's just working out beautifully, and I've done loads since I last showed you. So there we go. Look, oh, look at it. Isn't it pretty? So you can see all of the shades are pinks and peaches and sort of peach leaning creams, and that you can see the sort of theme I've got going there. And the last time I showed you, I was in this section here. So I've done all of that since, which is quite a lot, isn't it, really? And it's just lovely. I'm using a combination of mini skeins, leftovers from mini skeins, leftovers from other projects, advent minis, anything I can find really that's either pink or peach or creamy pinks and peaches. And I think it's just lovely. I'm using a 3mm hook. I think crochet for me, crochet blankets for me, 3mm hook is just the absolute perfect size. I don't like things to be really loosey-goosey and gappy. And I think I have tried using a slightly larger hook for crochet. I've tried, I think, 3.25 and 3.5. I just didn't like the look of it. I prefer something that's a little bit more of a solid fabric, because inevitably when it gets used it's going to get stretched a bit, isn't it? And I prefer to have that more dense fabric. So it's a 3mm, and this is one of the clover ones.
Do you ever use, or have you ever used
lovely.
the unrubberized ended?
Yeah, just a plain metal.
Are they the most common? Is that what most people use?
Well, that's where crochet hooks began, I think, isn't it? Just a plain metal hook, do you mean?
Yeah, that must be
or plain
so
wooden.
much harder to grip.
Yeah, you can get sort of just a plain metal one or plain wooden you can get as well, can't you? And I don't know when this kind of style first started appearing, that's got more of a handle, if you like.
It must be better for
yeah, it's
you,
more ergonomic, I think.
You'd have to grip much harder, wouldn't you, with it being smooth?
Yeah, I think so. And also, I would never use just a plain skinny metal one, because I think you'd have to grip quite hard to stop it slipping in your hand.
Yeah.
I think wood would probably be better.
Yeah.
But I prefer a metal hook tip, do you know what I mean, rather than wood. I have used wood before a couple of times, and I find them a bit kind of...
Have you got wood crochet?
Scratchy, yeah. I've got loads back here. Got a little thing I keep all my crochet hooks in, and they're mainly these clover ones, but I've got one in here which is the worst crochet hook I've ever used. Yes.
Wow, that's quite cool. Look at that.
Yeah, that's a wooden. So
you see, there's a bit of...
So here's a plain metal one.
Something about that.
So here's just the plain metal. And, you know, I could crochet with this. It would be okay. It does have a flat section there, which makes it a little bit easier. And I think this would be fine. I don't even know who makes these plain. Oh, Prim. That's by Prim.
Wow.
Oh, that's for adding beads. Yeah, this is a...
Could you crochet with that?
Yeah, people do. It's like...
What?
Cotton, like thread.
My goodness.
That's what people used to do, doilies, and people still do make, you know, beautiful doilies from like thread, basically. This is a 0.5mm.
I want to see some doilies made from thread.
You can't even focus on the hook at the end, it's so tiny. I use this for adding beads into...
I'm not surprised. I can barely focus my eyes on the end of that.
I know. It's absolutely minuscule. And then, yeah, these are the wooden ones. These are Knit Pro Symphonies. I've got a few of these. And I don't like the hook on wooden needles. Just run your finger over that there. The hook.
Oh.
It's really sharp, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I just find it...
That feels like it would break off.
Can you see if I hold it against Dan's white top? It's probably not focusing properly. But I just find it really catchy on the yarn. It's not as smooth, I find, these wooden ones. So I'm not keen on those. But this one... I bought this one ages ago to try it, and it's absolutely the worst hook I've ever used. I think it's meant to be very ergonomic. It's by Addy. I can't remember the style of it, but can you see the shape? And I think it's meant to be that it sits in the hand nicely, but it's horrible. I really don't like it. I don't know what it is about it. And again, this is just a personal thing, isn't it? But I couldn't find a way of holding it that made sense to me with this huge curve. It didn't, you know, for that curve to sit in sort of in my hand, it meant that then my hand was way up here.
Can I feel it?
And that didn't make sense. You know, I would hold it like that, and then the curve isn't sitting in the curve of my hand. Maybe it depends on the size of your hand. It just isn't comfortable for me. I just can't figure out a way of holding it. I did try using it and it was absolutely horrible. I'm sorry, but I'm always honest. I didn't like that one at all. And then I have used these ones in the past, and these are by Clover again, but it's like a solid plastic. It's harder and it's flat, and they're okay. They are okay, those ones, but I find them a bit short as well. Are they shorter than... Yeah, look. Can you see the difference? And that means that it doesn't... When I'm holding it, the end kind of stabs into my palm like that. Whereas these ones, it extends past my palm. Oh, that's a 3.5. Gosh, don't let me put the wrong one back in for my thing and I'll start crocheting with the wrong size. They're really similar in colour, aren't they, those two? Well, they don't look that similar on screen, but to my silly eyes they do. So, yeah, lots of different crochet hooks, and I've tried lots, and, these ones are my favourite. I've got several now. I should have bought a set, but I've always just picked up one in the size.
They're not expensive, are they, at all?
No. I just always picked up one, in the size that I need. You can get them in sets. I think it's Clover Amore. I don't know. It's one of those words. So, yeah, and this is just perfect for me. It's perfect. I love it. I love that crochet hook. But, like I say, it's a personal choice, and just try a few. If you've never crocheted before and you want to give it a go, I would start with this one. If you've never tried a crochet hook, I would recommend this one, but you might not like this one. You might prefer a different one. And I know there's lots of handmade ones as well out there. People do sort of handmade wooden ones, handmade with polymer clay. There's all kinds of options, but that's my favourite. I'm going to put the right size back in my bag, so I've got all those strewn around on the desk. So yeah, I love it. It's gorgeous, isn't it?
Yeah.
Listen to me. But it's just really lovely to work on, and because it's all my favourite colours. I think this one's Sherry Irish that I'm just putting in. I've done a square in my, you can see it's back there, in my granny square blanket, and then what's left over, if it's a pink or peach, I'm putting into here. So it uses every bit of the mini, which is great, isn't it? And that's the other thing, I am using every bit of the mini. I think I've seen a lot of people making these where they just do each row is a different yarn, and I think they look gorgeous. But I would just find that a bit tedious, having to change yarns every single row. So however much I've got, whether it's like this section here, this creamy sort of section, that's a full 20 gram mini. Then whereas this one was more like 10 grams, this one I think was only 5. So whatever I've got left, I'm just putting in, and I like the variation in the different widths of the stripes. I think that's really nice.
I do think a huge amount of how a project looks, specifically ones that have got multiple colours in, is your ability to choose colour. And my ability to choose colour is appalling, as we found out in...
I don't know.
Yes, it is. As we found out in that lovely to do, but awful looking colourway that I produced when I dyed some yarn.
Oh yeah, you did. It was a bit muddy.
It looked like a muddy pool.
Yeah.
And I think, you shouldn't assume that you've got an eye for colour. I think you've got an eye for colour because you worked with the yarn dyeing so intensely for so long. But I think naturally...
You can learn about colour though.
That's what I mean. Because you worked with yarn dyeing and producing, you start to understand more and more. It's like anything.
You can do colour theory courses and all sorts to learn about colours, what goes together.
I'd be willing to bet, if you're looking at your projects and you're thinking they don't look as good as perhaps what I would, like them to look. If you went and learnt a little bit about colour and maybe refined the way, because sometimes you see that, don't you? You'll see something and you can see that the knitting looks great or the crochet looks great, but the yarn choices aren't great at all.
It's such a personal decision though, isn't it? What one person thinks looks great, another person might say, oh no, I don't like that. So it is is.
You see, I think that even if you don't like the yarn choices, you can still tell when something has been blended in the right way, put together in the right way.
Yeah, I guess so.
I'm meaning when you see projects where you've got totally, is it the colour wheel? Is that what?
Yeah.
They're totally at opposite ends of the colour wheel, and it goes.
Some people like that. It is.
Do they though, or do they just not know how? Were they looking to try and do something really colourful?
You don't know, do you? You can't really tell. Yeah.
Personally, I'd love to be able to pick better yarn. The problem I've got though is Kay's so good at it. It's sort of pointless. If I was the only knitter, I'd have to go do it. Otherwise, my projects would look like muddy pools of water.
But the thing is, I enjoy choosing colours and things, so I really like that. And
what's the point in me learning when Kay can just go and pick?
And to me, the colour of a project is really key.
So I finished a sock. Look, it's another finished object.
I've got a blocker.
It's another finished object, although of course it isn't. Yes. Many years ago, I perhaps would have tried to pass this off as a what's off your needles, but not anymore. Oh no, because I am a self-contained knitter.
Gosh, you've not said that for a long time.
I know.
I'll get this on the blocker.
I finished another sock. Oh, yes.
I've done it.
It is.
Hang on, I need to arrange it.
Sorry. It's the Nutkin sock. And I love it. And I've cracked on into...
It's not been washed yet, so that's why I'm fiddling with the arrangement. There we go.
So here is the start of the cuff for the second sock. And what this reminds me of, this sock, reminds me of the Speargrass hat by the wonderful Susie Gawley.
Susie Gawley.
Oh, yes.
Aww.
And the reason why it reminds me is because the ribbing on that hat is very specific because it flows into the pattern. And it's cool. And this is exactly the same.
It is.
It's a very specific ribbing. And what it does is it removes that monotony of knitting a plain rib.
Knit two, purl two, knit two, purl two.
Yeah, or knit one, purl one.
Yeah.
But as soon as you twist that knit stitch, now I know that's what we're doing on here, but the ribbing on the cascades, that's also one by one twisted, and I don't find that monotonous and boring at all.
It's funny, isn't it?
Whereas straight knitting, whatever type of ribbing, I find tremendously boring. So this is just the start, just in a few rounds. But here's the finished sock.
Ta-da!
The first one.
Look at those stripes in the yarn.
Yeah. I noticed that.
You can really see it now.
It's the first time I've ever noticed that. So my eye is definitely getting better.
Yeah.
Because I can see these things now. What's been interesting is finding out that I'm convinced it's because I'm doing lace and I'm not tensioning the yarn in the same way. It's resulted in
It's a bit looser. Your gauge is looser down here. It's a bit tighter up here, but down here for some reason it's just gone a bit loose. It's still fine and it'll fit fine, but I've said to you that it might be that you need to go down to a 2.5mm because Dan is on 2.75.
I don't think I would do if I wasn't, because the gauge is fine on the Whispers in the Wall socks. I'm convinced it's because of the lace.
Well, it could be the lace, or it could just be the yarn. It's a different sort of yarn.
Right.
This is a 2-ply, and I think the other one is a 4-ply, isn't it?
Yes.
It could be the yarn. There's lots of factors, I think.
What gets me every time have I messed up the rib?
Yeah, what happened there?
I've got no idea. Show everybody.
So it just doesn't.
You see.
Quite...
I'm quite happy to...
Something doesn't quite look right up here.
Show you my mistakes. Because we can all learn then, can't we? We learn from them. It doesn't look quite right. Well, it's pretty obvious what's happened. I've just messed it up. I've done the wrong things at the wrong time.
Yeah, I think there's a bit of something going on there. I'm not quite sure what. Oh, you can see on the other side, look. If you look on the other side there, can you see there's a bit of something going on there?
But it's fine.
It's fine.
Well, no, I'll tell you why it's fine. This is the right sock, so it's on the inside of your leg,
right?
So no one will see it.
Yeah, we all believe that.
It's true. My running socks, and yours do as well, they have on right and left, don't they?
Yes.
Yeah, they do. It's because they're...
I don't pay any attention to that, though, I've got to say.
You should. because the socks are fitted and padded in a particular way to support your foot.
I just stick them on. I don't really.
No. They specifically.
I've not had a problem.
Well, no, you might not have a problem, but it might just help, support you a little bit better and make your feet feel all the more lovely.
There's also something weird going on with your Kitchener stitch. It's gone wrong. I don't know what. Can you see? It's off.
Right.
If you look at his Kitchener stitch, something's not right there.
Has it sealed the hole though?
Yeah. They seal the hole, but there's a ridge on the other side.
Right. So the yarn is the uncommon thread, and it's into dust. And apart from it being a bit stripy, it was fine.
I've used it lots, that yarn, and really loved it. So.
Right. So you don't mind the stripy bits?
No.
Right.
I think it's okay. I would if it was a variegated, if there were different colours in it.
Yeah.
And it was doing that swirly stripy. I'm not into that at all. But because it's just a tonal,
it's fine. It's fine, to be honest. It is.
It's fine.
It seemed fine to work with. I didn't really have a problem with it. First sock done. Second sock underway, and I'll be into the lace very, very soon. What's your last thing you're showing us?
Okay, the last thing I'm working on is in my lovely Wizard of Oz bag, because...
I know what happened on that Kitchener stitch.
What?
I think because there seemed like there was a low... That's the most Kitchener I've ever done.
Right.
And I'm pretty certain I got confused.
Yeah.
And I did the wrong thing.
I think.
On either the front or the back.
Yeah.
I'm used to... I think the maximum amount of Kitchener stitches I've done is probably over 8 stitches.
Right. And there's more on that toe.
Yeah.
There's 12 on each needle.
And clearly my brain couldn't cope with that. Yeah, but it's in my lovely Wizard of Oz bag that I made recently that I've shown you, because the project I did have in this I've finished and I will show you later. So I had to put another project straight into it because I love the bag so much. And these are my short and sweet socks that I spoke about earlier. And I'm on the second sock, but I've finished one, so I will show you. And these are the socks that I designed. I didn't design them actually to look like strawberries, but it was after I'd knit them I realised that the little eyelets look like strawberry seeds. So that's when I said then, I'm going to have to knit another pair to look like a strawberry. So look, here's the first strawberry sock. Oh, isn't it fun? So these are my short and sweet socks, part of the knitting university, the Bakery Bears Knitting University. I just couldn't get out of my head knitting a pair of socks that looked like strawberry. And again, I looked through my stash and I just didn't have the right shade of yarn. And I did look around at, hand dyers and commercial yarns, but I really wanted to start these kind of straight away. And, the world situation as it is at the moment, it means that all post is taking a really long time. Absolutely understandable, and we really appreciate the post is still functioning, which is just brilliant. But it does take a long time now to get anything that you order, so I just wanted to start these. So I just decided to dye the yarn myself, and I knew what green I wanted to use. I dyed this before. This is part of Queen Mary's Rose. It was the Rose Garden Green, I think I called this. So I had dyed this green before. But the strawberry colour I sort of pondered on for a few days, and I kind of know what dye colours I've got in my head, so I thought, right, okay, if I use this colour and this colour and this colour and mix them together, that might make a nice strawberry colour. So I used a red and 2 shades of pink, and I put that into the dye pot and swirled it around, and then sort of had a look at the colour. And what I do to sort of judge whether I think I've got the colour right is, I've got this big spoon that I use when I'm dyeing, and I just kind of lifted a bit up and just dropped it down. And as I saw the colour going back in the pot, I thought, I think that might work, the colour. So I put 2 skeins of yarn in, because I only ever dye 2 skeins at a time. I could tell straight away that, that colour looks good. But then I wanted to add a bit of depth to it in the, when you cut into a strawberry, it fades to a paler colour in the middle, doesn't it, quite often? I wanted to have that sort of paler colour. So then on top of that, I put on another wash of a different shade to try and create
the sort of light and shade, if you like. And I'm really pleased with how it turned out. I think it looks lovely. So I'm on the second sock. I'm on the heel flap of the second sock. And they're so quick because they're short socks. You know, they're so quick. But as I dyed up, so these are the 2 skeins I'm using. But as I dyed up 2 skeins of each, I thought what I would do is put together 2 little shorty sock sets. So you've got a 50 gram of the strawberry colour and then a 20 gram of the leafy colour. And I called it Pick Your Own Strawberries, because you see those signs in the summer here. Quite often it'll just go PYO, won't it? Next to a field. And I thought, I might just call it PYO, but then I thought some people might not know what that means.
I remember when I was in Australia, a lot of restaurants on the outside said BYO.
Oh, bring your own
alcohol.
Wine, yeah.
Yeah.
That's quite common, isn't it?
Yeah, but not here it isn't. Or any other country I've ever been to.
Here, no.
They just charge you a corkage fee.
Yeah. To uncork it.
Yes.
Yeah. So I dyed these up, so I'm going to use these as prizes. So it's 70 grams altogether. Actually, the pink, the strawberry colour, the whole skein I think weighed about 110 grams. It was a heavy skein, so there's just a little bit more than 50 grams in each of those. And I will use those for prizes. I'm not going to use them right away because, again, with the postal situation in the world at the moment, I just don't want to be posting things, especially to other countries. I know some...
Not something as precious as that, because if that goes missing...
and if it goes missing, I can't replace it, really. Everything is just taking so long. Even in this country, it's taking like maybe 2 weeks for a parcel to arrive. So to send it to another country whose postal service might not be working properly, I just don't want to be posting things at the moment. So I'm going to keep these until the world has sort of settled back to a little bit more normal, and then I'll use these as prizes. So I'm just really enjoying them, and it took me about 3 days I think to knit this up. No time at all really. It was just so fun. I wanted to see how the yarn knit up, and I was really pleased with it. I love how it came out, and I like that because I used the pot sort of method of dyeing, I find that you get a more even distribution all the way through the skein. So, you know, one side of the skein isn't less dyed than the other side, that kind of thing that can happen with other methods. So I really like this method. It's very labour intensive, and you can't dye as many in a batch, which I think is why people use different methods these days, which is understandable. But I just really like the sort of more small scale dyeing. So there we go, that's my lovely strawberry socks, and I think I don't know whether I'll just keep these and give them to Bryony in the summer or something. That might be nice, or whether it'll be a pair that I'll keep to her. I've got a pile going for Christmas that I've been knitting for her.
Now then, in the very first season of the Bakery Bears Pudding Club, one of your favourite bakes, one of the ones that you voted, I think it might have even been your favourite of the whole series, or it certainly was the top 3, was the Summer Fruits Roulade.
Oh, yes.
And we thought this season, how could we possibly follow that up? How could we take our meringue baking skills and take them to the next level? Well, we have found the answer, oh yes. So let's head to the kitchen as Kay takes us through every stage of making the delicious hazelnut meringue cake.
Who's ready for a brand new season of Pudding Club? Yes, we're heading back into the kitchen for 8 brand new delicious bakes. Every one of them is inspired by the puddings of our youth. And at the end of the series, you can vote for your favourite. In 2019, you crowned Sticky Toffee Pudding your winner. But what will win this year? Let's find out in a brand new season of the Bakery Bears Pudding Club. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a true showstopper. We've tackled the homely delights of lemon meringue pie already in this series, but what better way to follow that up than with a stunning hazelnut meringue cake? The strawberries and cream pack this cake with the flavours of a traditional English summer. But the addition of hazelnuts within your meringue mixture take this bake to a whole other level. It was a French pastry chef that first started combining ingredients with meringue in the early 20th century. But it wasn't until the 1970s that hazelnut meringue cake first made an appearance at dinner parties across Europe. The beauty of this cake is that you can absolutely tailor it to your favourite flavours, as the strawberries can be replaced with any soft fruit. Enough talk, because I want to bury my face in it. So let's get into the kitchen and get baking. Right, so what will we need for our delicious hazelnut meringue? Now, first of all, we're going to need some kind of fruit. It's up to you really which fruit you use. I've got strawberries. You could use raspberries. You could use peaches, would be delicious. Some fresh sliced peaches if they're in season. Blueberries, really, whatever you fancy. I've got strawberries. We've got our eggs. Now, you need 4 large eggs. If they're more kind of small to medium, then go with 5. I've got 5 as you can see, but if yours are nice and big, then 4 will be fine. We've got some vanilla extract. Mine is actually vanilla bean paste, which I find to be the best, but any sort of proper vanilla extract, real vanilla extract, you don't want the essence because they tend to have a lot of alcohol in and are just nasty. So some real vanilla extract, a little touch of white wine vinegar. You're only going to need a tiny bit, so if you've just got like the bottom of a bottle, that's absolutely fine. Some caster sugar. I think in other countries this might be called superfine sugar. We've got some lovely double cream. You can use whipping cream if you prefer. And then we've got our hazelnuts. These are blanched hazelnuts. As you can see, they've not got the skin on. If you can only get hazelnuts that have got skin on, then you can actually just bake them in the oven for 10 minutes, take them out, put them onto a clean tea towel and just give them a rub. Just rub them between the sort of folds of a tea towel, and then the skins should come off quite easily for you. But these days they're quite easy to get a hold of blanched hazelnuts. And then just a sprinkling of icing sugar for the end when we've finished our cake. So what about our baking notions? Right, so it's the usual kind of basic things that we use pretty much every time with the addition of one thing. So first of all, we've got our baking tins over here. These are 2 20cm, about 8-inch baking tins. And what I've done is I've lined these at the bottom with some baking parchment, and I've oiled with them with just a little bit of oil. Mine's sunflower oil, but whatever oil you have to hand is fine. A flavourless one is best really. I've also oiled the baking parchment as well. That will make it easier to take off the meringues when they come out of the oven. So I've just got the usual weighing scales, my trusty green spatula that I use for everything, bowls, a nice big roomy bowl for actually making your meringue in. This should be really washed thoroughly with washing up liquid and water to make sure there's no grease at all. And then what I always do when I'm making meringues is I just get a little bit of lemon, everybody has a bit in their fridge usually, and I just wipe it all around the bowl, and that will just get rid of any last traces of any sort of grease that might be in there. And then you're going to need some way of blitzing up your hazelnuts. So I've got this little, I don't know what they're called really, it's like a little mini chopper, I think they're called. Makes it sound like a bike, doesn't it, that you ride when you were little? But just some way of actually blitzing up those hazelnuts. Okay, let's get baking. Right, first thing to do is to blitz up your hazelnuts. So I've got my little mini food processor thing here. These are great actually, we use this for all sorts. I'm just going to pile them in. You can see a few of mine do still have a bit of the skin on. It's fine, don't worry if there's a little bit of skin in there, it's absolutely not a problem. Okay, so then the lid goes on. To blitz up anything like that's a dry substance, breadcrumbs, anything like that, is I kind of pulse it, and that stops it getting all jammed around the blade. gosh, that was so loud. I feel slightly deaf now. Goodness me, let's unplug it. And then we've got, oh, look at all our lovely hazelnuts. Delicious. Smells fabulous. Now, the next task is getting this off. I've done it. So take out your blade carefully, and then we can just pop our nuts back in the bowl. So that's them all blitzed up and ready to add to the meringue. Right, so now we've got to actually make the meringue. Now we have made meringues before, but this one is slightly different. We're adding in that little bit of vinegar, and I'll tell you why we're doing that when we get to that point. And then obviously we're adding hazelnuts as well, so it is quite different to the one we've done previously. But the first thing I've got to do, you know what I've got to do, everyone? I've got to separate those eggs, haven't I? So get ready for the comedy section of the broadcast. So I'm going to do this as I always do it. Gosh, that one's not cracked brilliantly well. Do you know, I'm a bit worried now. Do you know what I'm going to do? I'm actually going to separate them into a different bowl just in case I have any problems, because... oh, I don't know, I don't like the look of that one. Oh, look, it's cracked really weird. Right, I've just got to do it. Right. Okay, that was okay. Oh my goodness. Right. 2 done. Now you can see I'm not actually saving the yolks on this occasion. You could make various things with the actual yolks. Lemon curd is a thing that pops into my mind straight away. Oh, good grief. There we go. Oh, last one. These are lovely and fresh, these eggs. You can tell with the white. If the white kind of all sticks together like that, that's telling me that it's a nice fresh egg. Right, let's all breathe a huge sigh of relief. Okay, I forgot to mention at the beginning, but we do need our usual whisk, because we're whisking up meringues, and you could do it by hand, but my goodness, I wouldn't recommend it. So I've got my whisk, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to first of all whisk up the egg whites until they're nice and fluffy and sort of standing up in little peaks, and then I'll start adding in the sugar. So let's whisk up our whites first. So we've got the egg whites to that kind of peak stage. If you can see, when you put your beaters in, it peaks up and it stays there. So now I'm going to add in my caster sugar, just a teaspoon at a time, and just keep beating as I do that. Okay, so our meringue is lovely and fluffy, and you can see it's sort of standing in nice stiff peaks. So to your mixture now, I'm going to add my vanilla. If you're using vanilla extract that's more liquid, just kind of a few drops. I tend to just put in a blob of this because it's very thick, it's like a paste. So I just kind of put in a blob. There it is. So just a couple of little blobs. That'll be fine. And then half a teaspoon of your white wine vinegar. It's not very much at all, but what that little tiny bit of vinegar does is it makes the meringue nice and chewy inside. So half a teaspoon. So you can see it's just literally half a teaspoon, and in it goes. And then I'm going to whisk that in. And now the last thing to do is to fold in our hazelnuts. So I've got all of the lovely hazelnuts here, so just sprinkle them in. And then we're going to fold them in with a nice big, I've got a nice big metal spoon here. So just fold them in. Oh, this is going to be so yummy. Hazelnuts, actually, I didn't say at the beginning, but hazelnuts are my absolute favourite nut. If ever we get, you know, bags of mixed nuts, I always go through and pick out all the hazelnuts before Dan can get to them. I love them. You can use walnuts if you prefer. That would be lovely as well. So I'm just going right down to the bottom. Can you see there was some that was not mixed there? Just to make sure we've got them nice and evenly distributed through the meringue. There we go, I think we're about there now, aren't we? So now all we need to do is to distribute our meringue mixture between our two cake tins. So I'm just going to do a spoon in one and then a spoon in another, in my usual kind of relaxed fashion. So grab, oh look, there was a bit that wasn't quite mixed there, so I'm just going to mix that through. I think it was nuts were stuck to the spoon. There we go. So a nice big spoon in that one. It's like a marshmallowy meringue mountain we've made there, haven't we? Look at that, amazing. It's nearly all of it. I might have to get my spatula out. So let's get all of that off, because we don't want to waste any of this. And now I'm just going to spread that around. Push it down just gently. It feels so lovely and light and fluffy. So just gently, don't go mad with this, just gently push it to the edges. This feels a very, it's easy, but it feels a very kind of luxurious dessert, this, for some reason. I think meringue always feels quite glamorous, doesn't it? I think it does. Let's move that one over there. Bring that one down. And then when I've done this, I'm going to be popping these into a preheated oven, and it's preheated to 190 or 170 degrees fan. Mine is a fan oven, so mine's set to 170, and they want to go in for between 30 and 40 minutes, no longer than that, otherwise they will be too dry. We want to maintain that nice kind of soft mallowy centre and a crisp outside. So 30 to 40 minutes, just keep an eye on them. Okay, so our lovely meringue cakes, I suppose, are in the oven. Like I said, 30 to 40 minutes, keep an eye on them. And then when it's had that time, they want to be kind of just, sort of when you touch them on the top, they'll feel crisp and just lightly golden. You can then take them out of the oven, and then we will see you back in part 2. We're going to be whipping cream, we're going to be filling them, and we're going to be giving them a try. So I'll see you back soon.
Oh yes, there's something special about making meringue, isn't there? It's that moment where you add the sugar and you whisk it up and it sort of transforms into the most amazing. It's just wonderful. And putting those nuts in, that's the point where it changes from one thing and becomes something completely different. For me, you'll find out later when we slice it and we taste it, it makes it more cake-like.
It does.
The summer fruits roulade, that's meringue.
Yeah.
But this, it genuinely is like a cake. And how wonderful that, remember, as far as we know and as far as we've read, it's completely gluten-free. I've got to say, similar to, even though last time wasn't gluten-free, because it's not got flour in or butter in it.
Yeah. It's light, it's very light.
It's just great. You know, it is just perfect. I mean, I had probably half of it quite quickly. You know, the only downside to it was I had a massive sugar crash.
It's quite a lot of sugar in it. Meringue is essentially sugar, isn't it?
But it is just, do you know what it feels like? It's the most extravagant way of eating strawberries and cream.
It is, yeah. I mean, you can't go wrong with strawberries and cream, can you? And then just to add in that hazelnut flavour as well, it really is delicious.
And when we come back later, we'll be getting those strawberries and that cream and covering the whole thing with it.
Yeah, quite a lot of cream.
Delicious. Yeah. Oh, yes. But now, such an exciting one. Oh, yes. Complete secret surprise pair of socks for that wonderful cause. Yeah. Kate Jones, what's off your needles?
Well, the first thing, I've got a few things actually, but the first thing is the Village Fete socks.
Look at that colour.
They're lovely.
It's marvellous.
So I'll show you the sock. I'll show this. It is a pair. I'll show you there's two.
What an odd thing to say.
Well, I know,
it is
but
a pair.
Of course it's a pair.
I just knit one.
Just knit one. So yeah, here is the Village Fete socks. My inspiration, as I said before, was a maypole and the maypole dance at a Village Fete. So we've got running down the back of the leg. If I show you, can you see here? We've got a nice garter stitch band, and that's the maypole. And then running down the front of the sock, we've got these lace ribbons on both sides.
I could just imagine you Morris dancing.
Morris dancing? Oh no. I can't imagine bells and all that.
You always see Morris dancers at
bells and sticks.
And
yeah, you do.
Yeah.
They're great fun.
Yeah, they look brilliant.
They do look brilliant.
It always looks dangerous though, doesn't it, with the sticks?
It does look quite dangerous with the sticks.
You accidentally miss and you hit someone instead of...
I know, yeah, it does.
Anyway.
So yeah, these are these sort of little lace ribbons running down are the ribbons on the maypole that they twine around to make a lovely sort of pattern running down the maypole. So we've got the maypole down the back and then we've got the ribbons running down the front.
Beautiful.
So this is the yarn, as you can see, from lovely Sherry, and this colourway is called Wild Strawberries. There's a theme, isn't there?
There is.
This week. There's a theme. This episode. There definitely is, yeah, because it does look... You've got... Because a wild strawberry flower...
It's like CSI Miami.
The flower on a wild strawberry is a creamy colour with a yellow centre, and then Sherry's also added in, you know, a touch of the green and the pink from a strawberry as well. So there's obviously a theme this week. So what I did actually to sort of bring out the colour of that was I did a green heel and toe. And these are the two yarns. So this is Sherry's yarn. I hand wound it because I do like to do that sometimes. And isn't a hand wound ball just lovely? It's gorgeous. So I've got, look how much I've got left.
Loads.
Do
another pair.
I know I could, but this would work. You know, it would work in my blanket actually, wouldn't it? But I don't know, with that green in there, I'm not sure.
Oh yeah.
It might be a bit too green to put into my pink and peachy blanket. But yeah, I could definitely knit another pair of socks with that. And then the green I used is Cascade Heritage. It's this lovely colour, which is a perfect leafy colour. And I think it's Herb.
Yeah.
Yeah, Herb, number 5658.
Did you write that on there?
Yes.
Right.
Just to remind me that it was called Herb, like herbs in the garden. And I just thought it worked perfectly. I was going to use as sort of the pinky, I wanted to pick out the pinky red, but I just didn't have the right shade, unfortunately, to sort of complement that colour that's in there. So I went with the green, which I think works lovely. So that's Sherry's yarn, Wild Strawberries, and oh look, there's a fibre floating about here. I caught it. So that is the Flower Power yarn for the month of May, which you can purchase from Sherry's shop.
Nice.
And it's on her merino nylon base that I use because this is my favourite for socks. I just find it, you know, the 4-plied yarn, it's perfect for showing off any type of design.
I love that lace down the front of this.
Yeah, it's a really simple lace, but it's really fun to work. They went really quick. I knit these up in what felt like no time at all.
Do you know what?
Yes.
I found the next pair of socks I'm going to knit.
Are you going to knit them?
When I finish the Whispers in the Wall socks.
I think you'll like these.
Because these fit the same.
They do. We've
got a pattern down the front.
Yeah.
And something down the back.
I know. And when I was designing these, I could have just gone with the lace all the way around.
No.
And then I thought, well, maybe I'll just put it on the front. But then I'm like, no, I don't really do that. I couldn't get past this thing of it feeling too plain. And then I thought, well, do you know what? It's inspired by the maypole. If I just put some garter down
Stick a maypole on it.
It works perfectly.
It does indeed.
And yeah, I love them. And it's got my umbrella toe in there as well, and just a normal slip stitch heel flap and a French heel turn. And then there's a twisted 1x1 rib.
Really pleased about that, because I was worried about what
you were going to do.
My next pair of socks was going to be.
You'll enjoy doing these
Cool.
ones, I think. And this yarn, I think, is lovely. Worked perfectly. It is a variegated, but it just knit up so lovely. And you can still see the pattern, and it's just perfect. If you would like to purchase this, it would be greatly appreciated by everybody at Marie Curie. £2.50 from the sale of each pattern will be donated for the whole month of May. So I will let you know, sort of the first podcast into June, how much money we raised from doing that.
What
so that's
else
my Village Fete socks.
is off your needles?
I've got another pair of socks.
Cool.
And I finished my Wizard of Oz socks, so I need to just take these off this blocker.
Wow.
These blockers, even.
Look at those.
I know, they're lovely.
Are they for me?
No, they don't quite match, but...
Oh, no.
Well, I'll tell you what happened in a second. So that's the one on. These are scrappy socks. I showed them you last time, I think, and they're based on the Wizard of Oz. And these are my umbrella socks, so they're toe up with the afterthought heel. Ooh, don't they look lovely on screen?
I like that.
Yeah, but can you see the green and then that other colour just below it? They don't quite match. It's because I ran out of that sort of black with the green speckles. I ran out on this second sock, so I had to put more of the Emerald City green in. But it's fine, isn't it? You know, they're scrappy at the end of the day, and I think they're lovely. So I chose colours that made me think of the Wizard of Oz. So we've got Dorothy with her lovely blue and white dress, the ruby slippers, Glinda. This is the Scarecrow. I know it doesn't kind of look like Scarecrowish, but it is the colour of his shirt. Yellow Brick Road, Wicked Witch, Emerald City, and Cowardly Lion. And I think they're lovely. Again, knit up super quick. I think what a lot of people have said about the umbrella socks is they seem to knit up really quick, and I would say that as well. You know, you're definitely not knitting as much because you're not knitting a heel flap and gusset and all the decreases. And I think also for me it's the novelty of knitting in a different direction as well that keeps me going. And scrappy socks in particular are very potato chippy, aren't they? I think they go super quick. Oh, sorry, the Tin Man was the heel. I forgot to say that. Tin Man was the heel. And I love them. Just 64 stitches, 2.25mm.
Did you just call a crisp a potato chip?
No, potato chippy. It's a saying, isn't it?
Do you mean as in chips?
No,
With
I mean
fish?
crisps.
Right.
It's obviously a saying that's come from America.
Oh, okay.
Because
Right.
it just means like one more row, like you're eating crisps, one more crisp, one more crisp. You know, we don't call in this country what is called a potato chip in America, we would call crisps. Because the saying kind of came from there, I think that's why people say it's very potato chippy.
Is that what you call crisps now?
No, I don't. I call them crisps.
Oh, right,
you know
okay.
I call them crisps because that's what they are. Oh, it's very confusing. It's because chips for us are something entirely different. Chips are chips that you have with fish and chips. We wouldn't call them, what are they called?
Fries.
Fries. You see, a fry for me is like a skinny chip. Do you know, like you go into Burger King and
Frite.
You would have a burger and fries. It's those skinny ones.
Yeah.
We're all different, aren't we? Otherwise it'd be boring. So that's my Wizard of Oz socks. That's the second thing off my needles. And I do have one more thing.
Wow.
I've finished the Bits and Bobs blanket that I've been working on for, ages. I don't know how long. 2 years maybe. Not
It's
even
momentous.
Sure. I'm not even sure. But it's finished, and I added the I-cord border. I added is this gorgeous colour. If I just hold, can you see how lovely that colour is? Oh, Oh, so nice. And I held 2 colours together because it's 2 fingering weights held together for this blanket. And the I-cord border is the same. You hold 2 fingering weight yarns together. And I held these 2 together for the border. This one I dyed ages ago, and it's called Tranquility, and it's like a sort of peachy with gold flecks in it. I have put this into my blanket already, actually, my granny stripe. I started it with this colour, actually. And then this is, I think, my favourite colour from Cascade Heritage. It's called Chanterelle. Although, I don't know why it's called Chanterelle, because that's a mushroom.
Yeah.
And it's not mushroom, is it? It's like a sort of peachy, pinky, fleshy sort of colour.
Wasn't Tranquility, what? Tranquility base?
It's on the moon, that, isn't it?
Yeah.
Sea of Tranquility is on the moon.
I just remember hearing...
Is Tranquility Base on the moon then? I don't know.
I remember hearing that in a film. I don't think it can't be Apollo 13 because they never got down there.
No.
But he did have a dream, didn't he, that they landed on the moon?
Yeah, and it wasn't Tranquility Base. It was, the landing site was it Frau Mora?
Right.
I think. Oh, I don't know.
Yeah. No, that sounds about right.
Yeah.
Amazing knowledge of that film, Kate.
But I love this colour. I've got 3 more skeins of it up here. I loved it that much that I went and just bought 3 more skeins of it because I thought if they discontinue this colour, I'd hate to not have any of it. It's just gorgeous. I'd love a pair of socks in this. I actually want to do a striped pair of socks, this and maybe, I don't know, a pink, and just go completely girly. I think it'd be beautiful. So that's the 2 yarns I used for the border. But here's the finished blanket.
So
now,
you bordered it?
Yes, I bordered it all.
Right, cool.
It's bordered all the way around. It's got an I-cord border.
Is that the border you really enjoyed doing?
I do really like doing it, yeah. This is my Bits and Bobs blanket. I think you'll know that by now, won't you? And it does have an I-cord border to finish it all off. And I know some people don't bother with it because they find it a bit of a faff. Up to you whether you put the border on or not. It's actually my favourite bit. I love doing this I-cord border. It's something about it. It's very rhythmic, isn't it? Because you're doing the same thing over and over and over, and it's very, it's not. I wouldn't say it's quick to do. I mean, I did the border in just a couple of days in a few sessions. Not, I might do an hour and then do an hour again later, and then the next day I did a bit more, and I did it that way. I didn't find it a chore at all to do. I really, really enjoy it. And it's a good thing to sort of pick up and do 10 minutes of. Do you know, if you may be waiting for tea to cook, just pick it up and just do 10 minutes of it. And then the next day do another 15 minutes and it'll be done before you know it. And I think it just adds a lot to the blanket to have that border. But what I did with this one is I cast on the exact number that's in the pattern, and I did intend knitting the full size blanket. But I've got a full size Bits and Bobs already that I use quite regularly. And it is quite a large blanket. I think it's quite a large blanket. And I just thought, do you know what? I'll maybe make this one just a little bit smaller. So I don't know how much yarn I used in the end, but the pattern calls for 5 skeins of fingering and then the equivalent in sort of scraps. So you're essentially using 10 skeins of fingering weight yarn. I think I might have used about 3.5, something like that. And what I'm going to do is use it the other way around. So the cast on edge is actually going to be the long edge. So that's the long edge running sort of up and down, and then the side edge is actually the top and bottom, if you get what I mean. So I'll stand back a little bit and then hold it up just so you can see. And it's actually still quite a large blanket. So this will be the top, so the stripes run top to bottom instead of side to side, and you can see it goes all the way down, all the way down. Oh gosh, it's still going to there. So hopefully you can get a good view of that. And it's a brilliant, it's huge. And this is not full size, but it's the perfect size to just, there we go. Look, it's on my knee and comes right up to here and it's right down to the floor. Perfect snuggly size blanket. So that's all done. So that's my second sort of big Bits and Bobs blanket, and I've made cushions, as you know, and all kinds of things. I've done so much. Oh, and the cowl, obviously. I've done a Bits and Bobs cowl that is a separate pattern to purchase. So very much in love with the bits and bobs, and I know lots of you are too. You know, it's a very popular pattern, which is fantastic. You know, I love to see people enjoying it. All done, there it is. Look at that.
Yes.
It's so lovely, all piled up.
There's nothing that Kay likes to bury herself in more than her bits and bobs blanket. But when she doesn't have her bits and bobs blanket, she opts for cream and strawberries.
Oh, wow.
So let's get back over to the kitchen so she can do just that.
Welcome back everyone to part 2 of Pudding Club. So at the end of part 1, the meringue cakes were in the oven. I've now taken them out. They had about 30 minutes actually, mine were about 30 minutes. Took them out, turned them onto just a cooling rack and then just let them go completely cold. So that's the stage we're at now. So we are now going to whip our cream and then we're going to fill it and we're going to put in our strawberries and then give it a taste. Okay, so in my bowl now I've got about 300 millilitres of double cream, or you can use whipping cream, whichever you prefer, and I'm now going to whip that up to the kind of floppy stage. I don't want to over whip it at all. I just want that really nice soft sort of floppy. That's the consistency that it is. So I'm going to get whipping. So you can see we're now at that lovely soft stage, which is perfect. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I've got my first half of meringue here ready on my lovely pretty plate, and I'm going to pile just over half probably of the cream onto the meringue. That's probably about right. And I'm just going to spread that out. Yummy! There's nothing better than a big mound of whipped cream, really, is there? So just spread it all around to the edges, because we want that cream to kind of peek out when we sandwich the two halves together. And then just take off that bit as well. And now I'm going to sprinkle over. You can see I've chopped the strawberries into quarters. I think they just look really pretty that way. You get to see the inside of some and the outside of others. So I'm going to put, again, probably just over half sprinkled over the cream. I didn't distribute those very well, did I? And what's nice is to see some peeking out of the edges. So I like to kind of arrange them so that they peek out of the edge. I think that's really nice to see. And as I said before, you can use whatever fruit you want, really. I mean, red fruit's always nice because it just looks so pretty, doesn't it? But really, strawberries, raspberries, peaches, blueberries, anything like that. There we go. And now I'm going to put the second meringue on top. And don't worry about the kind of splintered look, because we're covering that up. Just kind of push it down a little bit. And now I'm going to go back to my cream and pile the rest of the cream on top. I might have to get my spatula. So I'm going to go in my bowl and just really get all of that cream out. And again, just spread this out on top of your meringue. And go to the edges again. And don't worry, can you see a bit of meringue just came off then? Don't worry about it. Just glue it back on. There we go. And just give it a little sort of swirly look. And look, we can't have that, can we? We've got to have that bit on. There we go. And now you want the rest of your strawberries. And this is where you can kind of arrange them prettily if you want to. I kind of like the it's just been dropped sort of look. I don't like things to look too purposeful. I prefer that much more homemade look to it. But if you want to be really fancy and make them into a pretty pattern, then by all means do that. Or you could just pile them up in the middle in a big mound. That would be nice as well. I just kind of like the more casual look. Perfect. And then the final thing to do, as is the way with most cakes really, is they always benefit from a little sprinkling of icing sugar. So I'm going to dust all over with icing sugar. There we go. Perfect. We are done. Okay, so the cake is actually finished now, and normally I would cut into it straight away and I'd be digging in. But actually this cake is better if you just pop it into the fridge for a couple of hours. What that will do is it'll avoid the meringue from splintering when you cut into it, because it'll just give it time to sort of settle and the cream to sort of go into the meringue a little bit, and it's just really helpful when you're going to cut it. So I'm going to pop it in the fridge for a couple of hours, and then we will get it back out and then we will cut it and try it. But for you all, that will happen in but an instant. Okay, so here we go. It's had a couple of hours just in the fridge, just to sort of chill, if you like, and it looks lovely. So I've got a bit of everything here on my fork. Are you ready? Oh, it's lovely. You can taste the nuts. It's really nutty. I mean, it's not like it doesn't taste like the sort of meringue you have in Eton Mess, that kind of meringue. It's not like that at all. It's got a bit more, sort of like a bit more oomph about it because of the nuts that are in there. It's really delicious, and the cream and the strawberries, you can't go wrong, can you? It's fantastic. I love it. So there we go. That's our lovely hazelnut meringue. I will see you back next time. Who knows what we'll be making, but I know it'll be yummy. So I'll see you back soon.
Now that, ladies and gentlemen, is a true showstopper. Yes, like I said at the start of the show today, it's reminiscent of something that you would have a slice of from a very high, posh, high tea shop like Betty's. It's just gorgeous. I loved it. It's a very adult cake.
Yeah, I would probably say that actually.
I don't, I wouldn't give that to a young child and expect them to think, oh yes, that's marvellous.
Even though it's lovely. But
lemon meringue pie, a young child would probably go nuts for. Whereas this is something, for you and your lovely friends.
Sophisticated, isn't it?
Sophisticated party, or who knows what might be going on. Once all this craziness ends, you're having a celebration. Perhaps you just want to have a little celebration and do something a little bit special. It's just absolutely gorgeous.
It is lovely.
It's refined. That's what it is.
It's refined. It is.
Yes, just like you.
Oh right. All right, if you say so.
For episode 150, you do not want to miss what Kay's got coming.
Oh, it's really different.
Like left field, baby.
Never done this before on Pudding Club.
So don't miss it.
It's something completely different.
We wanted something special for 150. Well, I think we can tip them off straight away in that it's going to be two things.
There might be two things.
You're not making one thing. Oh no. So get yourself ready. Oh yes.
Yeah, you'll love it.
And that'll be back in 2 weeks.
You'll love it.
I've tried them already and they're gorgeous, darling.
It's something I've been making a lot of recently, and I just said, you know what? I'm going to do this on Pudding Club.
Perfect for the celebration that will be our 150th show.
Yeah.
It's time for the Endy Bits.
Endy Bits.
Neil, there's an umbrella Cal going on.
Yes, there's an umbrella socks knit-along ongoing at the moment. Runs till, I think it's the 15th of May. Yes, 15th of May. There's a Ravelry thread, there's a chatter thread, and there's an FO thread over on Ravelry. So carry on knitting your socks and carry on posting your finished objects in the FO thread. We've also got the Mindful knit-along still ongoing for another week. That finishes next Friday, the 8th of May. So again, carry on posting in that thread on Ravelry. Now, I mentioned about prizes earlier on, and I think what we're going to do for prizes for both of these knit-alongs is, like I said before, I just don't really want to be posting things because I don't want things to go missing at the moment.
We want you to get your prizes.
Yeah, I don't want you waiting weeks and weeks and weeks. And
we need happy things now.
Yeah, so I'm going. What I'll do for prizes for both of those knit-alongs is we'll have pattern prizes. So it'll be, I'm going to use some of my patterns as prizes, and I'll use some of the collections that I've done.
Ooh, big prizes.
Yeah, so there'll be, my Beatrix Potter collections and the Swish and Flick.
Wow.
And I'll talk about what we'll do if you happen to have that collection, if you win next time.
Yeah.
Well, I'll explain.
When you award.
Yeah, what we're going to do instead if you've already got that collection.
And remember, Race to the Moon, please.
Yep.
I've now got a bee in my bonnet, and I want us to smash 30,000 miles, because that will just feel absolutely
huge.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So please come and join in, because it's fun, apart from when you fall over.
Don't be falling over.
I was moving. Well, no, I wasn't moving quickly at all. It was just because I was in a weird place. I had old shoes on and silly Billy.
I wasn't happy, you can imagine.
Did you hear our last radio show? And when I say our last radio show, it's not our last radio show, but it is until June. We pre-recorded as many as we could, and we ran out of pre-recorded shows, so we did a special show.
We did.
And we spoke about our top 5 favourite walks, and we tried to pick our favourite, but we made a huge error.
Did we?
Because we missed off. It's my fault. We missed off one of the walks which should have been on there.
Which?
What is my favourite?
I don't know.
The Hadrian's Wall walk.
Oh, right.
There is a walk which we did, and actually what we did...
It's quite a long walk, isn't it? It's quite a...
it's 4.5 miles there and back.
Yeah, but it's not straight walking.
It's uphill and down dale.
Up and down and through muddy bits and
you would
rocky
say
bits and
it's up and down and up and down.
You would, yeah.
And it is the most wonderful walk because you see everything.
It's fantastic. You're walking literally right on the wall, it's lovely.
There's gorgeous farms, there's amazing sheep, there's beautiful trees and, woods.
Yeah. There's all the mile castles you get to.
So there's always something to see. And the beauty of this walk is, though, as well, whilst it's up and down, at no point do you feel like you are mountaineering, which if you come from the other direction, it's not good.
Oh, we have done that a couple of times, and let me tell you,
you're physically...
I could use phrases.
You're climbing. You are climbing.
Yeah, I've gone up that bit that we're talking about twice, and I didn't think I'd be able to do it. Not of the physical aspect. It's the height.
It's high.
I just don't do heights at all. And it's terrifying.
What makes it all the more challenging is when you've got people coming down.
Yes, when you're trying to go up, it's a two-way thing.
Well, there isn't really room for two.
There isn't.
So
there isn't room for one.
You're teetering on a ledge as someone walks past you, or climbs past you, should I say.
It's absolutely mortifyingly terrifying.
So coming from the west to Sycamore Gap...
You don't have to do that.
No. Coming from the east, you don't have to do that. Coming from the west, you do have to do that.
Okay.
So travelling from... Basically, what you're doing is, if you wanted to do this walk, you would go from Housesteads Fort to Sycamore Gap and back again. And that is a 4.5 mile walk. If you're relatively fit and healthy, you'll be able to do it no problem. And that is, without doubt, my favourite walk we've ever done.
Yeah,
it's also my favourite
fantastic.
run. And I want to do it again.
You will, I'm sure. Yeah. We will. We'll do all these things again.
You've got some lovely yarn.
I bought a couple of skeins of yarn. I have.
Oh, actually, I must just say, look, folks, whilst the radio show is having a short break, it is a short break, and it's planned to be back in June.
We hope.
But, you know, it's all dependent on when we can get out and properly record again.
Yeah, I've bought a couple of skeins of yarn, and I don't know how I came across this shop, actually.
Well, and I said to you, the funny thing is, I've known Ted for years.
And I wasn't aware of his shop at all. I must have seen somebody had bought it somewhere, I'm guessing. That's usually how I notice things. And it's a UK dyer, and it's called Ted Knits. It's a man. That's great, isn't it? I loved it. I was like, oh, it's a.
I suppose the right thing to say would be he's a man.
He's a man. Sorry, I meant the company when I said it's. I was referring to his shop, not to him. He's certainly not in it. He's a he.
And he's lovely.
I dug myself into a hole there, didn't I? Yeah, he's super nice.
Well, I think people possibly would argue that I dug the hole and pushed you into it.
Oh, well, that would make sense, wouldn't it? So I wanted to try a couple of skeins of his yarn. I looked at his shop, and he's got some gorgeous yarn, lots of tonals and lots of kind of variegated. And I chose these two. So I'll show you this one first. So the shop is called Ted Knits UK. It's on Etsy. And this colourway is called Blue Smoke. Oh, and isn't it gorgeous? There's lots of tones in it. If I just pull the... Oh, it's just a beautiful tonal blue, and it'll be perfect for a sock design. Oh, it's just gorgeous. And then I saw this one. Oh, this is lovely. And it's called Mardi Gras. And it's based on a flower, I believe. I saw him post something recently, and it's based on a flower. Can't remember what sort. Tulip, maybe. I'm not certain. But look at those colours. Pinks, oranges, reds. Just lovely. And I haven't taken them out of the skein yet, so I'm not sure about the sort of dye technique or anything like that. But just on the face of them in the skein, they look gorgeous. And it's a really great price, these as well. You know, they weren't expensive. I didn't think they were expensive. I thought they were a great price for hand-dyed yarn. Came really quick. A lovely note from Ted with it. A lovely little handwritten note. So it's a great experience. So
and as you know, when we have great experiences with shops, we like to find out a bit more about them. And as I already sort of knew Ted a little bit, because he's been one of my Instagram friends since probably 2016.
And it's funny, isn't it? I wasn't aware of him at all.
Dropped him a line, and he's very kindly agreed to be our Meet the Maker, the vendor interview in the next issue of Knitability. So that's going to be wonderful.
So that's great, and I can't wait to try this one. I'm excited to see how it's going to knit up. So once I've started knitting with it, I'll show it to you. But I think they're lovely, gorgeous.
So Ted will be in the June edition of Knitability, so the next one that we put out.
Excellent.
And I'm sure he was a big time home cook. He was doing lots of posh cooking at home. I'm sure he's done. I'm sure he's posted lots of pictures of posh things that he's made.
Yeah, he's Ted Knits UK on Instagram.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that you done?
That's me done.
Cool. So lots going on at the moment. The Bakery Bears Knitting University is happening all the time. Once we finish that first course, we'll be rolling into the second course, into the DPN course. But also there's some tutorial specials going on. There's one about Turkish cast on. There's another one about purling through the back loop.
Yeah.
Also as well, you've got a Dandelion and Dogwood review coming up really soon. In progress, and all sorts happening. Return to the Centre of the Yoke just came out yesterday, where I do a direct comparison between my experience with the Solia and with the Clairquot, which is quite interesting.
Yeah.
So lots to watch, lots going on, and we will of course see you in 2 weeks for episode 150.
150.
Wow. So have a wonderful 2 weeks. Stay well, stay safe.
Yes.
Stay happy.
Yes.
And we will see you then.
See you soon.
Bye.
Bye.
Sitting and knitting, it's Dan and Kay, the bakery bears. Enthusiasm's not quitting for Dan and Kay, the bakery bears. They'll take you to fabulous places of which their favorites they'll share. You better buy a pattern and get yourself a bakery bear. You'll find yourself in a castle while watching the bakery bears. It never feels like a hassle to sit and watch the bakery